March 3rd. My name is Bill McCamley. I'm a state representative from Las Cruces and Mesilla from here in New Mexico, and this is your legislative update for the day. It's 10:40 in the evening. We just got off of what looks to be an over 5.5-hour floor session. Getting pretty knackered, as my friends in Europe say, tired, but here's a couple of things that have went on today. So I had a committee meeting this afternoon of the Labor and Economic Development Committee where we passed out a couple of non-controversial bills. Did have to, quote-unquote, roll over a certain bill. And this happens fairly often up here in the legislature where two legislators have a bill that does pretty much the same thing, but has some differences. And it was my fault as a chair for not scheduling them both on the same day. But this was a bill by Nathan Small. We rolled it over to hear another bill by a guy named Gonzalez from Taos to talk about biodiesel regulation here in the state. Representative Small's bill is a little bit stricter, a little bit more into making sure that more biodiesel is available for the gas that has to go into publicly owned vehicles. Representative Gonzalez's bill is more favored by the oil and gas industry. It halves that amount, and we're trying to come up with a compromise, and we give them the weekend to do so before we have to basically make a decision. So going to the floor, there was a whole bunch of bills that got passed, almost 20 of them. A lot of them were very uncontroversial. The one that was probably most controversial was the raise in the minimum wage to $9.25 an hour, so that has passed the House. A similar proposition has passed the Senate. And we're figuring out where that number is. That seems to be the rough number that people are coming up with to want to get for the state. And we're hearing that the governor may consider something like that, so that's kind of where we're at. There was another very controversial bill regarding, of all things, preventative medicine for heart attacks, basically dealing with arteries. Now, this would normally seem like not a big deal, except that many of the Republicans in the chamber didn't like the fact that there was some money associated with it. They actually tried to repeal most of what we call the medical health insurance pool here in New Mexico to pay for it. That measure failed, and the bill eventually passed basically on a party line vote. The Democrats' argument is basically that preventative medicine is good and saves you money in the long term, because if it costs you $100 to get a screen and it costs you $150,000 to get a heart attack taken care of, then the money is saved by the state if you can't pay for it, and the taxpayers have to take up the care for the heart attack. Also, the medical insurance pool is really important here in New Mexico. Even with Obamacare, there are still some folks that are so sick that they have problems getting insurance. The insurance pool was set up before Obamacare and still has some of the sickest folks in the state, and I think that's something we need to keep around to take care of them. I have a personal story involved in that. I won't go into detail with that, but if it comes up again, I probably will on the floor. Lastly, I just want to shout out to my friend Andres Romero from Albuquerque. He passed a bill that requires for new building construction and renovations baby changing stations in men's bathrooms. Apparently this has been a thing in women's bathrooms, and he's like, I have a 2-year-old. What if I want to change the diaper for my kid? Or my wife would say it's your turn to change the diaper for the kid. It's a fair point, and we actually passed that out of the House today, and that goes over to the Senate. So that's kind of a little synopsis of some of the things we've done today. As always, if you have questions, comments, or concerns on these or any other issues, I'd love to hear from you, and hope everyone's having a great evening. Be back at you tomorrow when we're working again. Bye.